Okay. Hi, this is Adam for Jason Adam TV and American Teacher on YouTube. If you haven't, please give us a thumbs up and click subscribe. And if you have any comments or questions during this English lesson, please leave them in the chat box, or after the live video has ended, you can leave them in the comment section and we'll try to get to them in the next video. Okay, so don't forget, you can ask any English questions you have during this live video, and I'll try to answer them in real time. I picked a few questions from online to answer while you're thinking of your questions. And the first one says, in English grammar, what's the name of a phrase coming between commas describing the previous term? And the person gives an example. Jack, the guy who met with me, feels happy. So the phrase, the guy who met with me, is called a relative clause. Relative clauses give more information about the subject. In this case, Jack. There are two main types of relative clauses. The first is a non-essential relative clause, which we have in this example. A non-essential clause gives extra information that is not necessary about the subject. An essential clause gives information that is necessary in order to identify the subject of the sentence. Okay, so those are relative clauses. Note the word who in the relative clause. This is called a relative pronoun. There are a few different relative pronouns. The most common ones are who, that, and which. Who is used only for people. So if you have a person as a subject, you would use the relative pronoun who. Okay? Which is used for things. The relative pronoun which is used for things. For example, the book which I loaned to my friend was about cooking. In that case, which I loaned to my friend is a relative clause, and it is an essential relative clause because it tells what kind of book. It identifies the book. So we use which because the subject of the sentence is a book. And finally, that can be used for people or things in a relative clause. For example, the dog that bit me belonged to my neighbor. The dog that bit me belonged to my neighbor. So animals are considered things in English, and we can use that for people or things. All right, so that's just a little bit about relative clauses. I'm not going to get too deep into the subject because I'm going to move on to the next question. But if you have any questions during this live session, you can leave them in the chat box next to the live video, and I'll try to answer them as I am teaching. Okay, let's go to the next question. Is this mixed conditional sentence correct? Okay, if there had been ample affordable housing, the rent level will have been much lower this time next year. Now, this is an incorrect mixed conditional. a conditional has two main parts. It has an if clause and a main clause. The if clause introduces the condition that is necessary for the main clause to be true. And there are a few different types of conditionals. But in this case, this is a mixed conditional, but it is incorrect. Because in the if clause, we are using if there had been ample affordable housing. Now this is a type 3 conditional, if I'm not mistaken. And it's used for events that are hypothetical, that are not likely to happen, or are impossible to happen. So in the main clause, you must use would have, rather than will have, in this type of conditional. For example, if there had been ample affordable housing, the rent level would have been much lower this time next year. Okay, so this is an incorrect conditional. So a type 0 conditional is something that is always true. Like if you mix yellow and blue, you get green. So we use, in a type 0 conditional, we use present simple in the if clause and in the main clause. And these are used for things that are always true. If you heat water to over 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. So this is a type 0 conditional. The next type is type 1, and in a type 1 conditional, this is something that is very likely to happen in the future. For example, if it rains, comma, we will call off the baseball game. Notice I used if it rains. So I used present simple in the if clause, and I used future tense. We will call off the baseball game in the main clause. So this is a type 1 conditional, and it's used for things that are likely to happen in the future. Next is the type 2 conditional, which is used for things that are not so likely to happen in the future, that are unlikely to happen in the future. And in the type 2 conditional, we use past simple in the if clause, and the modal verb would in the main clause. For example, if I had $1 billion, I would buy COVID vaccines for everyone. If I had $1 billion, I would buy COVID vaccines for everyone. And finally, we have the type conditional that I was talking about in this example, which is type 3 conditional. And for type 3 conditionals, we use present perfect or past perfect in the if clause and would have in the main clause. Like, if I had studied for the test, I would have made a better grade. And this is used for things that have already happened that we cannot change, so they are impossible So those are the main types of conditionals. If you have any questions, please let me know. And you can put your questions in the chat box next to the live video. Any kind of English questions you have, and I'll try to answer them here. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next grammar question that I found online. And in this question, someone asks, which of these statements are correct? I had come across the following question in an exam. Number 1, I haven't seen her ever since she returned from the Amazon. Number 2, you can go out and play unless it gets dark. Now, this person points out that the solutions to the test suggest that the second sentence is incorrect because should have been used, until should have been used instead of unless. And the solutions say that the first answer is correct. So this person wants to know, why should unless not be used in the second sentence? In this sentence, you can go out and play unless it gets dark. The first person who answers the question says, grammatically, unless is fine, but we know that it always gets dark outside every day, and it does so in a predictable way. So using the phrase, unless it gets dark, is a bit odd. The word unless is like if. And since we know it's going to get dark, we would never use unless or if with it gets dark, because this is something that is certain to happen. So the next person who answered the question says that it will get dark at a certain time of the evening is a certainty, not a possibility. And we use unless or if with possibilities. So this person points out you could say unless it rains, because it's not certain that it's going to rain. But unless it gets dark doesn't make sense, because the process of getting dark happens every day, so it's a certainty. Okay, if you have any questions about these questions, or if you have your own English questions, please leave them in the chat box next to the video, the live video, or if the video has finished, you can leave them in the comment section, and we'll try to answer them in the next video. Okay, in the next question, this person has a question about the modal verbs may and might. You may go now if you want to. You might go now if you want to. So the person says, I heard this and I am curious which is correct. Please let me know. Okay, someone answered, depending on what you mean or how possible the action of the following verb is, both can be correct. Without stating what you intend to mean, your question may not survive. Okay, so what this person is pointing out is that may is more certain than might. We usually use may as a polite way to give permission to someone. For example, a teacher might say, you may use the restroom. That's a very polite way to give permission. But we would not use you might to use the restroom to give permission. We use might to show more uncertainty. For example, you might find the book next to the television, but I'm not sure. If you're a little more certain about the location of the book, you could say, you may find the book next to the TV. So, might and may are used to show uncertainty, but may could also be used in place of can to give permission in a polite way. Okay, if you have any questions or comments about this, please leave them in the chat box next to the live video. And if the live video is over, you can leave your questions in the comment section and we'll try to answer them in the next video. Okay, finally, this question asks, is much funny a correct English expression? If it's not, then how can we replace it? So there were sports for boys only, which was not much funny for girls. It's a sentence from a 6th grade English textbook. It stunned me a little bit. Can we use much funny? Personally, I'd say something like was not so funny, or was not too funny, or was not very funny instead. But am I right? Okay, the person who answers points out that it might be a typographical error on the part of the textbook manufacturer. And they say that you should use something like not so funny or not that funny for the girls. So another person claims that this is an old-fashioned use of the phrase. So
and I'll refer you to a question someone asked.
Okay.
Okay, you can read the screen on your left.
All right, let's see. It's cut off. I can't read. Okay. It will be our working sheet that everyone will refer to moving forward. Is this sentence grammatically correct? Ben, it is grammatically correct, but it's a bit awkward. I would say it will be our worksheet that everyone will refer to moving forward, but I'm not quite sure what you mean by working sheet. Are you talking about like standard operating procedure? If so, you could say it will be our standard operating procedure that everyone will refer to moving forward. But yes, your sentence is grammatically correct. I'm just confused about the meaning of working sheet. What a working sheet is. I've heard of worksheet and I've heard of standard operating procedure, but I haven't heard of working sheet before.
So the correct usage should be worksheet.
It depends on what type.
I think it's just a regular noun. You have to use that form. You can just say.
Oh, your friend asked you. He said that he doesn't know. His friend asked him. Well, in short, your sentence is grammatically correct.
各位同学，如果你不会英文不是很好，你可以用英文来问问题哈。我杰森老师也可以帮你回答。All right, go ahead.
Okay. So thank you for your question, Ben. It is grammatically correct. I'm just curious as to what your friend meant by working sheet, because I haven't heard that phrase before. But it is grammatically correct.
It brings us to a different type of question, which is the usage of proper noun. Like there are some spatial nouns that can only use noun as an adjective. For example, sports good. You don't say sporting good.
You can't wait. You can't say sporting goods.
How about kitchenware?
Kitchenware.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is confusing. There are some cases in which we use two nouns together to make a noun phrase, and there's some in which we use an adjective plus a noun to make a noun phrase. Ben asked, will refer to versus shall refer to. Either one is correct. Shall is just much more polite,
No, shall,
informal.
Adam, I think shall is used for first person. For example, shall we?
Well, no. Shall can also be used to make offers, but it can be used in a very formal way in place of will.
Oh, okay. There you go. Thank you.
So to answer your question, Ben, you can use shall refer to. It's very formal. Perhaps if you're in a formal setting, like a meeting with the boss, you might want to use shall refer to rather than will refer to. But either one is okay.
Yeah, just if they like us, he can introduce his friend to subscribers. So
Yeah, sure. So Ben, if you have some friends who have English questions, you can tell them about our channel. We'd be happy to answer their questions.
Yeah.
Okay, getting back to the question that I was talking about. So evidently not much funny is an archaic use of English. I have not ever heard it used before. In most cases, we would say not much fun rather than not much funny. You're welcome, Ben. Thank you for your question.
We will do our best to get online daily.
Right, we're gonna be online daily for sometime after 5, maybe 5:30 every day to answer English questions.
COVID-19, we might just do it later, or maybe.
Yeah, after we go back to work, maybe as soon as next week, when level 3 is relaxed, we might come online a little bit later due to our job. Okay, I was going to talk about the difference between fun and funny because sometimes ESL students. Thanks for subscribing, Ben. I just saw your comment. Sometimes people get fun and funny mixed up. So if you say, my friend is a fun person, that means your friend is interesting and that you like to be around them. They're a very interesting person.
Ben said that he's already subscribed yesterday.
Right, I saw the comment and thanked him just then. So if you say someone is a fun person, you mean they are interesting and you like being around them. If you say someone is a funny person, it means they make you laugh. They tell jokes and make you laugh often. So that's the main difference between fun and funny. Now, sometimes funny can be used to mean strange, like if you say, the man looked at me in a funny way. That means a strange way. So in that case, funny is negative. Okay, so I answered 5 questions, and I answered the live question that we got today. So if you have any questions, I'll give you about a minute more to leave them in the chat box next to the live video. So yeah, I would like to thank the Taiwanese government for its vaccine rollout. It's been very efficient, and my partner got his COVID vaccine appointment today, and I think I signed up the day after him, so I'll probably get a notice very soon. And also, they've done a good job in handling the the coronavirus restrictions, and the number of cases has kept going down, and so it's quite possible that I'll be going back to work next week. Alright, so if you haven't, please subscribe to Jason Adam TV, or if you're watching on American Teacher TV, you can subscribe there and give us a thumbs up, and Thank you for watching.
Are you ending it?
Yeah.
There are 7 people watching now, so I think
Oh, okay.
we might just do some talking to them.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know there were 7 people watching.
8 people.
I didn't know there were many people watching right now.
Oh, there's a question for you.
All right, I don't see the question.
If someone has sent a reply to my email, what could I write?
Oh, I see it now. If you're saying that you sent an email to someone and they haven't responded to you yet, you could send them another email saying that you apologize, but you could say, "I'm sorry, I sent you an email recently, but I haven't received a response." Okay, yeah, you could say,
Can you, Adam, can you bend the screen a little bit lower toward you?
this screen?
No, that one.
This screen, okay. So Ben said to push the person to reply. So yes, I would say, dear, and the name of the person, I'm sorry, I sent you an email at such and such, on such and such date, like July 10th, 2021, in regards to, and the subject of the email that you sent previously, and I haven't received a response. If you could, please respond as soon as possible. Sincerely, and your name.
Can you tell them that if they like our channel, would they introduce to more people on the subscribers? So that's our tracks.
Okay, so if you like our channel, please introduce the channel to your friends, and tell them that they can subscribe and leave their questions, and we'll try to answer them when we're live or in the next video.
Which encourages us a lot,
Yeah, your response encourages us a lot, and thank you, Ben, for your question. I hope that that helped some. Also, if you have the person's phone number, many times an email might get stuck in their spam folder, and you might ought to call them and tell them to check their spam folder for the email that you sent. Okay, so if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat box. Jason says there are several people watching right now, so if you have any English questions or questions about my life in Taiwan, whatever you want to ask, you can leave. Okay, Ben asked if I sent you an email. He said, if I sent you an email on such and such date regarding such and such subject, and I haven't received a response. If you could, please send me a response. Not could you send me a response. So it should be, if you could, please send me a response. Yes, Ben, that's mostly correct, but in the last sentence I would say, if you could, comma, please send me a response. Of course, you need to use capital letters at the beginning of your sentences and correct punctuation, but I know you're just leaving a chat message now, so you're not using correct punctuation. Okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat box next to the video. Yes, Ben, please send me a response is okay. All right, while I'm waiting for more questions, I was going to talk a little bit about adjectives like bored and boring. So if a person says, I'm bored, that means they are not interested in the subject that's being talked about at the moment. Like, my teacher is giving a lesson and I am bored. So that means you are not interested in the lesson. If you say, I am boring, that means that you are not an interesting person. You could say, the teacher giving the lesson is boring. That means the teacher is not interesting. So that is the difference between bored and boring. Okay, if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat box next to the live video.
Okay, if there are no question, we are going to end in 3 minutes.
Okay, if you don't have any more questions, we're going to wrap up in about 3 minutes. Let me think. Talking off the cuff here. I was trying to think of another grammar issue. The difference. Okay, Ben has another question.
Okay.
Work experience, working hours, working room. Why is working experience wrong? Work experience and working experience. I don't think working experience is necessarily wrong. I just don't think it's as common as work experience. Because working can be used as a gerund, I believe. Working experience.
Present participle. As an you can use present participle as an adjective.
Yeah, Ben, I'll have to look that one up. But I believe that working experience is grammatically correct, but it's not common. We usually use work experience. You could also say working hours or work hours, if I'm not mistaken. Working room or workroom. I think workroom and work hours are more commonly used, though. But like I said, I'll need to look those up to make sure. What I've found on a lot of tests that are made in Taiwan, like what's the one that they take in high school? There's a test that high school students take in Taiwan that is written in Taiwan, and for some questions there's actually more than one correct answer, but they want the most common one. And I've run into this problem when teaching students, high school students, for the test. But on the test, they will, even if it's grammatically correct, they'll count it wrong if it's not the answer they're looking for. That's why I hate those tests. And also the books. Most of the books are written in Taiwan, the study books for the test, and some of them have they have a bunch of errors in them. Some of them are almost useless in teaching students because they contain so many errors. In general, the standardized tests from the UK and America, like IELTS, their study books are, thanks, Ben says I second that. Usually study books that are written for, international tests like IELTS, they're okay, but the test that I'm talking about, and I can't believe I can't remember the name. I think it starts with a G. A lot of them are really, really bad. All right. If you don't have any more questions, we're going to wrap up. We'd like to thank you for your questions, and thank you for watching Jason Adam TV, and thank you for watching American Teacher TV.
So for record, if they have any question, they can prepare them in advance so they can,
Right. Jason wants me to tell you that if you have any questions, anytime you can prepare them in advance and leave them on our channel. American Teacher TV or Jason
we
Adam
can,
TV.
If he can just prepare in advance and read it right now, I mean, when we are online.
Right. You can also prepare your questions in advance, and we'll try to be online sometime around 5:30 p.m. Every day to answer your questions. So you can prepare your English questions beforehand, and you can put them in the chat box during our live video. And the next one will be tomorrow, early tomorrow evening, probably around 5:30, I would say. All right, thank you for watching Jason and Adam TV, or if you're watching on American Teacher on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Tell your friends about our video. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, do I